This episode of the LCTV News is brought to you by Encompass Health, North Shore Community College, Leo Inc., and Brotherhood Credit Union.
Welcome to March and welcome to LCTV News. March happens to be my favorite month of the year, but I seem to be in the minority on this one. Several prominent figures are moving on as Lynn takes steps to improve life for all residents of the city. The Lowdown featured Councilor At-Large Nicole McClain discussing the newly formed Youth and Adolescent Task Force. Here's the news for Friday, March 1st, 2024. Selvin Chambers will be stepping down as Executive Director of LifeScene effective April 12, 2024, to accept the position of CEO for a nonprofit organization in Greater Boston. In a letter, Chambers reflected on his 3 years at LifeScene, highlighting the milestones they have reached and the strong relationships they have built with the community. Most of all, he emphasized how the commitment, passion, and generosity from supporters are what has allowed the organization to thrive and make a meaningful impact. The Lynn Senior Center held a Black History Month celebration on Friday, February 23rd, full of laughter and fun. This included performances, food, and finished with a fashion show, displaying outfits from a wide range of African American cultures.
On Friday, February 23rd, the Lynn Senior Center celebrated Black History Month with a 3-hour event featuring food, a chorus of the Black National Anthem, an a cappella group, and finally, a fashion show featuring different styles with many different cultures from around the world. Ultimately a celebration of Black culture, Lynn seniors seemed to have a grand old time cheering on their fellow residents and dancing and singing to the music that was provided. A nice way to cap off the week. For LCTV News, I'm Josh Englander.
Later that night, focus shifted back to the shoemaker strike, which happened 160 years ago on the day, February 22nd. Actors from Salem's History Alive serenaded the crowd with the Shoemaker's Song and a reenactment of its origins.
Up and let us have a strike, their prices will demand.
Then the financial panic of 1857 sent the country into a long depression. Shoe workers lost their jobs and ran up heavy debts. When their employers rehired them the next year, they cut the workers' wages and lengthened their hours. For 16-hour days, men earned $3 a week and women only $1. It wasn't enough to support a family, let alone repay debt. In February 1860, the Mechanics Association held a mass meeting at Lyceum Hall in Lynn. They appointed committees to meet with employers, and they wrote a circular stating their demand for higher wages. But employers refused to meet with the workers. The workers set up committees of 100 men each to post the names of scabs in order to keep and make sure shoes wouldn't be finished elsewhere. Then they marched to their factories and handed in their tools. The Great Shoemaker Strike began with 3,000 Lynn mass workers who deliberately chose George Washington's birthday to start their righteous rebellion and begin their strike.
We, the undersigned, journeyman shoemakers, jointly and severally pledge ourselves to suspend our labor on a day hereafter to be determined in mass meeting, unless, prior to that day, we have received in full the wages hereto annexed.
Wary of the agitated and excited state of this community.
Well, a little excitement never hurt anyone, especially for such a righteous cause as this one. We are the keepers of this generation and the next.
Firmly let us all unite throughout the land.
By mid-April, the strike was over, and most shoemakers had gone back to work. The strike was only considered a partial success, as in the end, only 30 employers agreed to a 10% pay increase of men's wages. For LCTV News, I'm Dani Vittori. My Brother's Table has a new addition to their board of directors, Georgia Katsulamitis, Executive Director of the Massachusetts Law Reform Institute. She has run MLRI, the leading poverty-fighting legal aid nonprofit in the state, and nationally recognized for their poverty law and policy program for the past 13 years. Katsulamitis is a 2021 Shriver Center Racial Justice Fellow and serves on several boards, including another local one, Lynn's St. George Greek Orthodox and its Friends of the Poor Society. A seasoned attorney, she has dedicated her career to fighting homelessness, food insecurity, housing instability, and racial justice, to name a few. My Brother's Table is excited to welcome her and her unique skill set to the board. Helen Patman performed her one-woman show for a full house at Gala on the afternoon of the 24th. A mix of history and folklore, she covered a lot, from her own genealogy to a story she had spent a decade writing in Critter Tales. Here is a clip.
Well, thank you for visiting with my people over here. And probably you're wondering now, why oh why did she call it Critter Tales? What in the world did she have in her mind? Now, anybody who knows me knows it could be anything that came in my mind. But a critter is just a being. Now, a critter could be a four-legged being, or a critter could be a two-legged being. And we have some critters out there in the hallway. There was critters. All of y'all are critters, call you two-legged beings. And that's all a critter is.
Visit lyntv.org to watch the full performance. The city has received a $34,000 grant to improve access at 4 public buildings: City Hall, Lynn Public Library, the Senior Center, and DPW headquarters, given by the state to the city's Disability Commission to improve compliance with the ADA. The city was required to conduct a self-evaluation of the ADA and come up with a plan moving forward to improve upon areas where they're lacking. This grant will be used to make public buildings in the city more accessible for all residents, including installing braille signs, insulation on pipes, and special doorknobs and fixtures. Signage for handicapped parking areas will also be improved. State Representative Pete Capano has decided not to run for re-election after serving 3 terms for the 11th Essex District. Before serving in the State House, Capano served 7 terms on the Lynn City Council as the Ward 6 councilor, where he was first elected in 1997. Now, reflecting back on his time as a rep, he is most proud of the community path from Saugus to Lynn, night schools at Lynn Tech, the foundation of the Community Enrichment Program, and E-Team Mechanist Training Program, to name a few. According to Capano, he hopes to see a push for housing, jobs, and transportation in Lynn. Speculation has begun over who will take his seat, with a few locals expressing interest. Newly elected school committee member Sean Reed confirmed he is running, while Tristan Smith and Lynn's personnel director Drew Russo say they are considering it. As for Capano, he can turn his attention to retirement once his term is up next January. In celebration of their 180th anniversary, there was a Dominican Republic flag-raising ceremony at City Hall on the 28th. Attendees filled the foyer, listening to several speeches covering the history and significance of the DR. Here's more.
On Tuesday, February 27th, Lynn residents celebrated Dominican Independence Day by raising the Dominican Republic flag over City Hall, both on the inside and outside. An annual tradition in the city, the event gives recognition to those who fought in the War of Independence from February 27, 1844 to January 24, 1856. This year is special for the Dominican community as it marks the 180th anniversary of independence. People of all ages in the foyer raised their flags and celebrated with city and community officials. They were joined by notable figures such as Mayor Jared Nicholson, School Committee member Lenny Pena, and State Representative Dan Cahill, among others. Also featured in the event were dancers of all ages, with Dominican music accompanying them that the community cherishes. Ultimately, another successful year celebrating this historical accomplishment. For LCTV News, I'm Josh Englander.
Also on the 28th, there was a community climate workshop on Lynn and Nahant. The first half was a presentation, with the latter half giving residents the chance to voice their opinions and concerns regarding the future of the coastline. Here is a clip.
I don't have to think back that long because these storms continue to occur again, maybe not to that extent, but it's expected that they're going to. We live right near Lynn Shore Drive, and anytime there's a storm, I take my kids down there. I'm guilty of it. I don't want to celebrate coastal erosion and severe storms, but we go down there to watch the waves. And they're at the ages now 8 and 4, where they asking questions. They're interested in learning about climate change and talking to them about while it's fun to go watch the waves coming, that this is a serious problem, and to think about the next generation and what we're leaving them with. And obviously, everyone here is here for a reason. It's because you join us in this fight to protect our coastline. And tonight we have a great opportunity to, not think globally, though we'd love to, but to zoom in here locally on Nahant and Lynn, and to think about ways that, things that we want to see, we want to continue to work on and invest on, but also just to hear your thoughts. So,
to watch the full event, go to lyntv.org. Lynn has announced a complete rewrite of the citywide zoning ordinance to create a more modern, understandable code that aligns with Vision Lynn, the city's comprehensive plan. Some of Lynn's existing zoning codes date back to 1925, providing an opportunity to modernize them. An internal team was assembled with people from various departments within the city. Lynn also hired Community Scale, an urban planning consultant, and Levine Planning Strategies to lead the rewrite and provide insight into initiatives being taken by other surrounding municipalities. The consulting team will receive feedback from local developers, real estate professionals, and land use lawyers. Residents will also have the chance to be heard through surveys, interviews, and project updates. The project is being funded by a Housing Choice Grant from the state's Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, with the zoning amendment having a completion date of spring 2025, when it will be reviewed by the Planning Board and voted on by the City Council. On the line, the sports update. The Lynn Tech boys beat Monty Tech 71-55 to advance to the finals of the State Vocational High School Basketball Tournament. Their big three, Edric Gonzalez, Giovanni Jean, and Jaden Welch, combined for 53 of those points and 12 rebounds. Jean was first with 19, Gonzalez a close second with 18, and Welch rounded out the trio with 16. They won the tournament over Shawsheen in their third meeting of the season for back-to-back titles. It was a game of runs, as Tech took an 18-11 lead, but Shawsheen went on a 21-2 run for a 9-point lead by the third. A last run by the Tigers allowed them to retake and keep the lead. Gonzalez had another impactful day, recording a double-double, 11 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists in the 46-40 win. The Tech girls were not quite as successful, falling to Bay Path 68-43 in the tournament. They won when it mattered, though, traveling to Upper Cape Cod RVT as the underdog and emerging victors 67-52 in the preliminary round of the MIAA Division IV playoffs. And Dingle Begum led the charge with 26 points, 9 rebounds, 6 steals, and 5 assists. In the preliminary round of the boys MIAA Division IV tournament, 26-seeded KIPP showed up, defeating 39th-ranked Winstonville Christian 56-39. Trotsky Pena led in scoring with 16, but the entire team stepped up on defense, winning in the paint and limiting Christian to just 14 points in the second half. They were knocked out by 7th-seeded Clinton by a score of 66-53 on the road. Redemption will have to wait another year for the Rams, who fell in the preliminary round of the MIAA Division III state tournament 50-41 to Notre Dame Academy. Senior Lauren Wilson was the top scorer with 17 for 34th-ranked Classical, who bow out of the tournament with a final record of 14-5. The 34th-ranked boys team also fell 52-39 to 31st-seeded Foxborough on the 27th. The Rams had an early 9-8 lead off forced turnovers, but Foxborough grabbed and kept the momentum, jumping to a 38-36 lead by the end of 3 and never looking back. The boy Bulldogs also saw their season come to an end in the first round of Division I play, hosting and losing to Marshfield. English built a 10-2 cushion in the first and were up 82-74 with just over 3 minutes remaining in the game. But a turnover and last-second layup of a missed free throw sent the game to overtime, where Marshfield completed the upset 100-99. In the MIAA Division III round of 32, the 5th-ranked St. Mary's girls ran over Denham 62-33 on their home court. A team win all around, the Spartans shut down Denham's offense, taking a 19-point lead by halftime and going up 52-15 by the end of the third. They're now awaiting their opponent for the Sweet 16. The 21st-seeded St. Mary's boys hockey team made the trek to Franklin for the MIAA Division I round of 32, but came home empty, losing 3-2 in overtime. The host 12th-ranked team grabbed a 2-0 lead, and the Spartans did manage to tie the game, but a wraparound goal gave the win to Franklin. On the flip side, their second-ranked girls team eliminated Weymouth 5-1 at home. In what has become the norm, Bella Freitas scored another hat trick. They will now play Boston Latin in the Sweet 16. Turning to professional sports, the Celtics continue their dominance, most recently besting the Philadelphia 76ers 117-99. The usual suspects shine for Boston, with Jaylen Brown topping the score sheet at 31. The Bruins are on a 3-game losing streak, dropping their last game to the Seattle Kraken 4-3 in a shootout. The Youth and Adolescent Task Force held their first meeting in January to establish their goals and what they wish to accomplish, including advocating for additional youth resources and informing policy decisions for a potential council in the future. Councilor At-Large Nicole McClain joined us on the Lowdown to discuss this initiative. Good morning and welcome back to the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Dani Vittori, and today we're here to discuss the Lynn Youth and Adolescent Task Force with Councilor Nicole McClain. Thanks for coming back on the show.
Oh, it's great to be here. I enjoy being around the LCTV crew. You guys are very welcoming, so thank you for having me.
Of course, and thank you also for coming here on a Monday morning when we're still getting all the pieces together, but we got it.
Truly Monday, so yeah.
So I guess I'll start off by asking, where did this idea originate? Because it kind of started with you last year.
Yeah, it did start. It's always been an idea in my mind for our city because obviously we have a council on aging. Mm-hmm. So since we have that council and that council has been so successful with getting a building and getting transportation and really dedicating itself to the improvement of the quality of life for our seniors. I thought that the Council on Adolescence and young adults could also do the same thing for our city. It could be a vehicle toward getting us a community center, getting us more resources that the city itself could support our programming that we have in the city already, and also just support our youth and young adults in general.
And you talk a little bit about the process of, there's now a dozen people on the council, not on the task force. So did people apply? How were they kind of selected?
We created an application process, and when I say we, I mean Faustina Cuevas, Sarita Ago, and myself. We put that out into the community. I sent it to different places, different high schools. The mayor's office did the same, and we were able to get a great group of people to apply. Yeah.
And you just this month had your first meeting, So how do you think that went?
The first meeting was really well. So we were introduced to everyone on the task force, and I think I have their names. Hold on, let me get them for. So Brian Ramos, Dania De La Cruz, Zainab Lawal, Helena Almonte, Janiyah Spencer, Ann Merrill Gidius, Jesse Labato, Stacy Bryant Brown, Rua Ahmad, Tristan Smith, Denisa Lopez, and Martina Campbell. So they all came. We had a really good attendance, and we talked about what we want these meetings to be like. You know, we did the preliminary, well, I won't call them rules, but just codes of the way that we want to treat each other, how we're going to go into the meetings with an open mind and not being judgmental. So just basic, general, ways of treating each other during the meetings. Everybody, got to know a little bit about each other. We went around and did some introductions, and we spoke about some of the themes for our upcoming meetings was going to be workforce development, after school programming, and things like that. And we also made sure that the task force members knew that it doesn't matter their age, that they are all of their voices are important. So just laid some ground rules and some standards for going forward.
Because I think the four things they said were accountability, open-mindedness, honesty, and civility were the big priorities, which I love.
Yeah. We definitely want to just respect each other in these meetings because we're going to be talking about some hard things. So we need to make sure that, and also confidentiality too was something that was very important to everyone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense, though.
Yeah, it does.
And why would you say it's so important to include youth? I mean, in the policies that are going to affect them, why do you think that is so important?
I believe our youth in the city of Lynn haven't had a chance like this to really say how they feel about what's going on in our city. So, and they're, like you said, they're directly affected by everything that's being decided. So I think that's the reason why it's so important to include their voice, because they are also being affected. And a lot of our youth are contributing to our community as well in a huge way. So if they're contributing, if they're being affected by the policies and the things that are being considered in our city, then I believe their voices should be added to the equation as well.
And moving forward, how often will you meet? Is it monthly meetings? Or?
It's every other month or quarterly, our meetings. So our next meeting will be in April. So they're not, I think it's good for, especially since we have some young people on the task force, that we're not taking up too much time for people. So in between those times, we have some homework for each for the task force to do. So right now, because April's meeting is going to be about workforce development, we are just researching about what the city is already offering our youth, and going to bring that information to the April meeting.
And what would you say is sort of, I guess the ultimate goal with this would be, you said, to have more of a council, kind of like the Council on Aging?
Yeah, exactly. To have something that, because it says task force on youth and adolescence. So this council would say council on youth and adolescents and young adults. That's what it would say. So when you're going on the website for the city of Lynn and you see council on aging as a young person, you would probably automatically look for a council for youth or young adults. So now you'll see that and you'll be able to click on something like that and say, you know, what's provided here for me? What can I get into being a young person? That would be a title that would automatically attract you. And now, you know, it's an obvious place to go for a resource for a young person to see what's available in the city for resources for them.
I probably should have asked this before, but the age of the youth is mostly high school on the council. Is that what it is?
They're 16 to 26 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a wide range of ages, but when I say young adults, I really do mean that. I mean like 20s, you know, early 20s. So yeah. I think it's important that we have that because a lot of our young adults aren't getting the same opportunities. Some young adults are able to go to college right away and do some things that way. And if they are, then maybe they can look at that council and say, maybe I want to be a part of that. Maybe I want to help provide resources. And then there's young adults that are out here trying to figure out what their next move is. And maybe this could be a resource that they can go to, click on and say, oh, there's job training here. There's, some skills that I can acquire for free at this place. So just a list of resources would be nice for those people that are looking for things and opportunities to move their career forward or just move their life forward.
In a way that's maybe a little less overwhelming than trying to go out into the world and go, okay, now what am I doing?
Exactly. Now what? So I'm out here. What am I going to do now? Yeah.
And also, are you looking to, like you said, collaborate with the city or other organizations too to expand those resources and, like you said, tap into ones that already exist maybe and make them bigger?
Exactly. So as far as supporting organizations or programs that are already out there, I would love to have that be a place where programs can come and upload their events or, you know, if they're looking for people for jobs, like right now, Boys and Girls Club is hiring and they're looking for group leaders. So that this young adult and this council could be a place where those types of jobs live. You know what I mean? That we know about these jobs and we can push them out and help you find people to employ. You know what I mean? So that's, and if there's an event happening with Girls Inc. or if there's an event happening at the Lynn YMCA, it's another way for these programs to be able to get the information out about what they're doing in their respective programs. Yeah.
Which is beneficial for all parties involved,
really. I think so, right? Because, I mean, we're helping to support these great organizations that we have. You know, we have so many great organizations, and I don't think everyone knows what goes on there. So to have a central place for youth and, you know, young adult programming and for them to be able to come and see what's happening, I think it would be helpful for everybody. Yeah.
Definitely. And before I have to wrap up, for anyone who maybe wants to learn more information about it, what's the best way for them to go about it, learn more about the task force?
I think the best way would be to contact me, honestly, or to contact Faustina or Sarita, honestly. And you can put my email. It's nicole.mcclain@lynnma.gov.
Great.
Yeah.
And is there anything else you wanted to mention before I wrap it up? Anything else I hadn't hit on?
I think we did a pretty good job. How do you feel, Dani?
I feel good.
You think we did good? Yeah. I think we did. Yeah, I feel good about it.
Yeah, I feel real good about it. All right, great. Love that.
Some good information.
Yes. And thank you for coming on once again. And my name is Dani Vittori. This has been the Lynn Lowdown, and we'll see you next week with more guests. Next up, the community calendar. Mass General Brigham's Community Caravan visits Greater Lynn Senior Services every Friday from 9 a.m. to noon. No appointment is necessary, and walk-in service is available to everyone. They provide free blood pressure screenings, COVID-19 screenings, and at-home test kits, as well as flu vaccines. There is no insurance or residential requirement, and they do not ask questions about immigration status. The next van is on Friday, March 8th. Ring in the new month and Women's History Month with a celebration at the Lynn Museum on Saturday, March 9th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. 10 organizations from the greater Lynn community will be present and participating in a fireside chat-style panel that afternoon. The keynote speaker will be author Laurie Ann Thompson, who wrote Be a Changemaker: How to Start Something That Matters. Also on the 9th, Lynn Tech is hosting their 3rd annual Multimedia Expo from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Put on by LVTI, Skills USA, and TV Media, the program will have a 4-person panel composed of experts from various professional fields of media. There will also be several tables for students to visit and talk with the participants. It is gauged toward high school and college students looking to identify resources and strategies which can lead them to opportunities in the media industry. That is the end of this week's news broadcast. But the news never stops, so stay up to date by following us on social media at Lynn Community Television. For our full community calendar, member content, and videos on demand, go to lyntv.org. And subscribe to Lynn Community Television on YouTube for content from interviews to talk shows to sports. I'm Dani Vittori, this is LCTV News, and we will see you next week.
This episode of the LCTV News is brought to you by Encompass Health, North Shore Community College, Leo Inc., and Brotherhood Credit Union.